Welcome to my channel. I wish you all a lot of fun with the upcoming story and enjoy the moment. The last survivors now sat together in a vacant hotel room when suddenly there was a knock at the door. All of the color on Eden's face flushed away. Elder was dead asleep. Greg looked at me and I at him. And without a second's hesitation, I rose from my chair as swift as a soul does when leaving the body. "We're not alone," Greg whispered as he stepped over Elder. I gave him a nod towards the door to lead the way. My heart was pacing rapid, but my thoughts were as still as a dead breeze. Poised and ready, Greg peeked through the peephole. Instantly, he collapsed. The knock came once more. Without looking away, I whispered over to Eden to wake Elder. And innately, my curiosity drove me onward. As I began to step forward, I recalled a quote I had read some time ago. It read, "Smart people learn from their mistakes. But the real sharp ones learn from the mistakes of others." As much as I had a desire to peep through the door myself, I had just as much of a desire to avoid what happened to poor Greg. I stopped just before reaching the door. I had to think. And fast. "What's going on?" Elder asked, half asleep. Eden immediately shushed him and pointed to the door. "There's something out there," she whispered anxiously. It had been several months since we last had contact with any other life. What awaited us on the other side of the door was unknown, but one thing was certain: we had to leave, and now. "Grab your things, we're leaving," I said to them through clenched teeth. "What about Greg?" Eden asked. Elder expressed only perplexity, for he had missed the entire ordeal. "He is now as dead as Elder was during his slumber," I solemnly replied. "We must go." And with that, not another sound was uttered. We collected our few belongings and made our way out through the back window. Eden went first, then Elder, and finally myself. As I was halfway out and over the opening, I could hear the door creak open and what sounded like Greg's body being dragged across the floor. I did not look back, but only hastened my step. Outside it was cold and dark. A hint of death in the still air. We moved like thieves in the night, silent and agile. Our only goal was to survive the night, like it had been the night prior and the night before that. All was the same, except we were now short a man. "I'm scared," Eden mumbled as we moved into the next building, hoping to find sanctuary. "I understand that," I replied, "but right now I need you to be brave, brave for I and your brother." "I won't let anything happen to you," I reassured her. Whether she believed me or not, I could not say. But at the moment, it was all I had. "I'll take point and Elder will cover our six," and with that I led us in through the dark, wet walls of what I hoped would be a vacant house. What we were up against, I could not say. But I knew that until we figured that out, it'd be best to avoid contact. From what we could tell, we were some of the, if not the, only remaining survivors on the planet, and that included both specimens of animals and plants alike. We cleared the first floor. And as we were about to move upstairs, Eden reached for my hand. I felt her sharp nails cut deep into my flesh. I turned to shine my light on her and I could see only pain in her soul. Elder was nowhere in sight and I knew she was about to be next. Attached down at her feet was a tiny serpent-like creature, slithering up and around her body. I refrained from shooting because everything that now plagued our planet seemed to respond to sound. And so I opted for my blade, attempting to pierce through it instead. But almost as if on cue, the serpent disappeared under and into her flesh. It began to drain her of her fluids. I had never felt so helpless in my life. "Kill me, please," she uttered hoarsely. I reached for my rifle and told her I was sorry. The sound echoed throughout the empty house. I knew they were coming. But I would not take the easy way out. I would go out with what fight I had to give. The floor trembled and the sounds of death now shifted towards me. I thought of all the wrongs I had ever committed in this life and wondered what awaited next. Would there be more? Would I ever see Greg, Elder, or Eden again? I could not say, but I sure hoped so. The walls around me began to tremble and fall. Whatever was coming was near, it was here. I beamed my light up and it began to flicker. I could make out only shadows dancing around. The stench was the most horrid I had ever inhaled, stagnant and lingering. My skin was scalding, as if the sun had somehow appeared through this vast darkness and magnified all of its might upon me. I had died once before. Several years ago, in a land far away, fighting for what I thought to be more than myself. The feeling had returned, except this time, I was all alone. Unaware of what I was fighting against and why. I was the last man standing. But as all things that have a beginning, all things too must have an end. I realized this was mine. And I knew I had a choice to make, for we always do. Either put one in your skull and take the easy way out, or ride it out and fight until the very end. I opted for the latter, and as I finally laid eyes upon death, I smiled. Darkness, rain, and the whistle of the trees. The lighting shows a brief flash of a Gothic-style castle. It's resembling an old, twisted set of pipes. Inside, large halls filled to the brim with books. A middle-aged woman in a golden top and bottom walks around, looking at each shelf. She has flowing black hair. This is the librarian. Her name was lost to time. Even she is okay with not remembering it. She manifests an iced coffee in a purple cup. It has a red and gold-colored straw. She sips on the coffee. Now where is that old thing? She looks at the cup. You've outdone yourself. 5th cup of the day. As she talks to herself, she continues to look around. All alone, the rain hits the outside of the castle. She looks up at a window to see a green neon sign flashing above. It reads Cozy Witch as the green light flashes on and off of her face. She looks at the shelf. Then she keeps looking. Unbelievable. I'm always able to find it. But now I can't. A red armchair manifests behind her as she sits back. She looks up at the massive bookshelf. After another sip of her coffee while sitting, she turns to a red book. I may be 900 years old, but I'm still as sharp as I've ever been. She pauses. Not you, read book number 6. The book poofs away. That's one cheeky book. She gets out of the chair as it disappears. This place is too dark. I mean, it's a Wednesday. She pauses. Or is it Vanovencidus Day? With a smirk on her face, she snaps her fingers. The once dark castle lights up, giving it a warm afternoon vibe. You books have to know that this darkness is all for show. I mean, you can't be protected if the place looks like a summertime shack. She walks to another bookshelf. All of the books have strange symbols on them. With her finger, she tries to find the book she needs. Let's see. How to Cook a Meadow Warrior. No, anyway, the last one got stuck in my teeth. The Devil and His Two Stones. That's not it. She looks at a purple book with a green gem in its spine. Gateway to the Multiverse Volume 2. That's the one. She grabs the book. You're quite the sneaky one. All of you are. Don't I take care of you all? She yells at all the books. I could make this place disappear. Then you will be out in the rain. You get the idea. Don't complain about a different place. This is the only planet that can support all of you. Any other planet would blow up with this amount of you. Everything is silent. She then looks at the rain. Rain, you can rest. I want the sun. The rain stops as the sun shines in. She then looks at the books again. Don't respond. Just enjoy the comfort of Castle Archer. She smiles with the book in her hand. A large, ominous steel door towered over her. Another coffee for this one. She manifests coffee in her hands. Then a small black cat-like creature rubs up against her foot. It has green eyes and a golden tail. Ah, Shadow. The coffee floats in the air as she picks up Shadow. How's my kiddos doing? She gives it a kiss on the cheek. Shadow speaks in a formal British tone. I'm doing quite well, madam. I've cleared the castle of those pesky Xynoas. She smiles. Good job, my little cutie pie. Why do you take the rest of the day off? I would, but the planet of Genko is being invaded by the space barbarians of Beagle V. Shadow the brave Kittis warrior. Always a hero. Go save them. Yes, madam. I should be back in a day. Shadow jumps off of her and opens up a green portal. Shadow enters. That Shadow. Always on adventures. She brings her coffee back and drinks some. She enters a large black steel door. Inside is a red cauldron. The roof of this room stretches into the darkness above. The walls have a mix of yellow and blue crystals on them. Everything is spread out. She walks past a mirror and looks at herself. Her skin is wrinkle-free. She then smiles and notices a small wrinkle on her forehead. They say 900 is the new 30. She frowns in disappointment. Well, it was going to happen one of these days. Some people look like prunes at this age. I guess I shouldn't take this for granted. The coffee is empty, and it poofs away. She then looks at the book. Then she walks off after staring at herself in the mirror one last time. Her left eye twitches. Over the red cauldron, she opens the book. The pages have various creatures and symbols marked on them. Each page has a yellow tint. She flips page after page. I don't know what I'm looking for. She keeps flipping. I don't need any help. She flips a few more pages. Then she stops at a black page with a red creature in text. Here we go. Silence as she reads aloud. This is what I was looking for. She pauses. You talk a lot for a book. I mean, you all do. Question after question. She gives a death stare to the book. Fine, I'll answer. She takes a deep breath. Every 900 years, I have to defeat a powerful creature from a different universe. It changes each time. I won't know until I know. Now I know. She turns her head toward the book. This is my third time doing this. The last time I had to face a giant living spaceship from the future. She shakes her head. I don't make the rules. I just follow them. Each time I need a book, I do the summon thing. You get the idea. I absorb the energy of whatever I need to absorb. She pauses. Nothing really makes sense in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you are a book who zaps responses into my brain. All I know is that your books have living souls within. Chatty living souls. She stares at the red devil-like creature in the book. This thing is the All-Father. A powerful mix of a demon and an alien creature. Some idiot thought it was a good idea to mix the two's DNA. Everyone forgets that park that brought back dead creatures. The creatures got loose and destroyed the planet. Or the moron who thought it was a smart idea to go to the demon realm and steal a baby demon. The entire crew was dead in an hour. I hate people, this is why I isolate. She then smiles at the book. Actually, despite my complaining, I don't mind you all. I guess being isolated gets to one's head. Plus, I'm wanted on most planets. I mean, I was young and summoned an army of dead clone troopers from an alternate timeline. It was an accident. She shakes her head. Good point, I am getting distracted. Thanks for keeping me on track. Taking a deep breath again. I have one chance. The creature can escape or kill me. If it escapes, I'll be dead within a month. If it kills me, then. She coughs. I can join the other side. She looks up at the darkness in the room. She then looks back down. Not yet. I've still got more life to live. Maybe this will be my final 900 years. Maybe it's time to connect with all of your books. A smile lights her face. See, I can change. Now let's get this creature out. Mommy is ready for another 900 years. With a flick of her hand, yellow sparks fly out. They land on the paper. The paper burns blue. The books then start to float over the cauldron. Then she fires a black bolt at the cauldron. The green gem fires a beam into the black liquid, turning it red. Then the process stops. The book closes and flies towards her. "It's okay. Don't cry." She cuddles with the book. Out of the cauldron, the Allfather appears. A red humanoid demon with yellow fangs, 2 large horns on its head, and horse hooves. She turns to the book. "I've got this." The Allfather screams as it jumps out. It stands over 8 feet tall. It then charges at her. She stands still, smiling. As it is about to hit her, she fires a yellow bolt from her hand. The Allfather freezes. It laughs. Then the Allfather turns into a red cup of coffee. She extends her hand, and the cup comes towards her. She is quick to drink the cup. At the bottom is a yellow gem, which she also drinks. The book flies out from her side. The first bang goes off around 3 in the morning. Everyone's quiet conversations come to a halt as we all sit tight, waiting. The second goes off at around 3:10. The silence hangs heavy over us like a weight on our already hunched shoulders. Wide eyes catch the light from the dim lamp that somebody brought, showing me the terror in their mind as easily as I can see the inside of a store by looking through the window. The bangs come every so often, moving further into the distance as time goes on. As they do, hesitant conversations start up again, stopping every so often whenever a bang is heard. I look around the room, the heavy guns in the corner sending shivers down my spine. To my right is a mother clutching her young baby in bruised arms. My mouth dries, realizing that that child will never have a childhood like mine. It will never feel the soft grass below its feet as it's running into the park to get to the swings first. It will never be able to play games with its friends in the streets or hear the approaching music of the ice cream van as it pleads with its mother to buy some. I look down at my hands, not able to think about it any longer. Just 2 days ago, before everything changed, I was going to the mall with Taylor and Beck, complaining that Jacob hadn't replied to my text. "You're too good for him," Taylor had said. I scoffed as Beck put an arm around my shoulder, lightly nudging me into Sephora. I was just being a normal teenage girl, worrying about normal teenage girl things, like guys, my popularity, and what I was going to wear to school the next day. Jacob not replying seemed like the end of the world to me back then. Little did I know that I would have bigger things to worry about, bigger than I could ever imagine in my worst nightmares. A bang comes again, snapping me back into the present where I'm huddled with people that I have never met, in a dimly lit, stuffy, makeshift room, carrying my whole life in the backpack beside me. My feet throb from running and walking and then running again. My face collides into my hands as tears start to spill from my eyes. I know Beck didn't make it, but as for Taylor and Jacob, I have no idea. More tears fall. I don't even know where my parents are, or if they are even still here. I try to stop my mind from going there, but it's too late. I could be an orphan for all I know. Another bang shakes me out of my spiraling thoughts. Later that day, when I came back from the mall, happily carrying my little black and white striped bag, I would never be able to comprehend what would happen later. I was shaken awake in the middle of the night with my parents' panicked voices ringing in my ears, "Matilda, we have to go, now." Half awake and still disoriented from my sleep, I scrambled to put some clothes on and hurriedly packed my belongings into the first backpack I saw. We all rushed out of the house to find a layer of thick smoke concealing the quiet and empty streets. "What's happening?" I shouted, but I was met with silence, my lungs burning with each the inhalation of the thick smoke. My mother grasped my arm and I jolted forward, blindly following her through the smoke. As we were running, I could feel my mother's grasp loosening, only catching glimpses of her bright auburn hair through the smoke in front of me. Suddenly, a bang went off, causing me to lose my balance and fall. My contact with the ground was hard, my right arm sending shooting pains through my body as it met with the concrete below. That was the first bang I ever heard in my life. In the chaos, my mother's grip loosened and I could no longer feel her touch. "Mom, Dad?" I screamed, but my voice was drowned out by another bang, a little further away from me than the last one. I looked around frantically searching for her bright auburn hair, my eyes burning from the smoke around. "Matilda," I heard a distant voice shout. Scrambling to my feet, ignoring the pain in my arm the best I could, I stumbled towards the distant voice. However, the smoke that had crept throughout the city made the streets that were once so familiar to me seem like a foreign land. After continuously winding around the maze of streets, I could no longer hear the distant calling of my name. Not before long, my breath started to become uneven and my heartbeat quickened. Collapsing onto the floor in the unknown land, I started to panic, my thoughts spinning out of control. I don't know how long I sat there, thinking the end of the world had come. I still think that, but at least it's easier now. Soon enough, someone found me and brought me to this makeshift room, full of people inside. They explained everything to me, that extraterrestrial beings had come into our atmosphere and everyone and everything had gone crazy. That countries had formed different alliances, each group disagreeing on what we should do. I remember my mouth drying as he spoke to me, unable to grasp what he was telling me. I mean, I had read about these things in sci-fi novels and seen them in movies, but never would I have thought that it could actually become true. "Are they good?" I remember muttering to the man. "Who, the countries?" "Yes, ma'am, I assure you that there will be no conflict between he started saying. "The aliens," I interrupted. His eyes slightly widened before answering that they were extremely harmful and hazardous to our society, and that we should demolish them as soon as we got the chance. His response to my question almost sounded rehearsed, as if someone had told him to say that. Despite being skeptical, I stayed in the makeshift room, watching people pile in as time went on, the weapons in the corner increasing with each new person's arrival. Being sandwiched between sweaty people, with babies crying on and off, I was not happy. With each day spent apart from my family, I became even more miserable, yearning for my mother's bright auburn hair that looked like mighty phoenix's flames. "You know why we gave you your name, Matilda?" she once asked. I shook my head, giggling, my little feet swinging from the chair, not long enough to reach the ground yet. "Because you love the movie Matilda and you wanted her to be smart," my dad called from behind the barbecue, pointing the chicken skewer in his hand at her accusingly. She threw her head back laughing, her hair flowing majestically like a river of silk behind her as the gusts of wind gently picked it up and put it back down. "Matilda means mighty in battle. Something that I want you to be." She touched the tip of my nose softly with her finger. "When you grow up to be a big intelligent girl, I want you to always look to your name and remember that you are mighty and strong and that you can overcome any problems that come your way." I wiped a tear from my cheek. I really cannot stand this place. If only I could go somewhere and find some peace and quiet for a few hours before I come back again. People have told me what lies near here, and I'm sure that by now the smoke has died down. The man told me I should stay here, but the chaos outside can't be any worse than it is in here. And so, I swing my backpack over my shoulder as I quietly creep towards the door. People are too invested in their own problems and worries to care about what is happening around them, so I reach the exit easily. Lifting the flap of the makeshift room, I catch the baby's wide eyes following my movements carefully. Before stepping outside, I smile at it, receiving a radiant beam of innocence in return. Immediately after I step out, I am met with a breeze of fresh air, my lungs relaxing as I let go of the flap behind me. The fog has not died down as much as I hoped, but I do recognize the streets a lot more. Stepping over any debris I encounter, I fall into the rhythm of the familiar path to the park, the one that I have visited so many times, only now with no one by my side. Soon, I'm pushing the recognizable red gate, the metal cold in my hand. I observe the park. It sits unchanged from when I was last here, only now silent with abandonment. The sounds I hear are the rustling leaves on the tree and the slight creaks of the swings from the wind's movements instead of the usual laughter and chatter of excited children. I walk around and sit on one of the swings, falling into the well-known motion of swinging back and forth, missing the strong hands that would once push me here as a child here. As I look around, everything is still before me. What has happened to the world? I mutter. I don't know what I will do from here. Perhaps I will return to the safety of the makeshift room, or I'll venture out beyond and attempt to find my family and friends. Maybe I'll come across one of these extraterrestrial beings or aliens along the way, and I can see for myself what they are all about. Mighty in battle, my mother's sure voice echoes in my mind. I may not know what I will do from here or what will happen, but what I do have is my name, Matilda, sheltering me with protection like a shield in front of me, making me mighty in battle. Just as my mother wanted.